is good.
All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we'd like to give our praise and glory to
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM,
Double honors to the elders, the apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us this truth, and salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. And the elect begins with the 144,000. YAHAWAH, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jehovah. BAHASHAM is in the name. YAHAWASHI, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The Rakako Doctrine is the Holy Spirit. We're the brothers of the Great Millstone Chicago camp. I'm the brother YAHAWAH. You're joined with
Brother Adanya.
Alright, Badia.
Come back at you, brothers and sisters, at a household of faith of the Hope for Right Select with another lesson. And Lord, when we hope this lesson be edifying through the Spirit and power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Once again, we hope this lesson is edifying. You know, we're just going to entitle this lesson, pre-flood behavior, because what was going on during the time before the Lord ultimately flooded out the earth, for the first time, ultimately killing everybody but 8 souls. You had, all different type of wicked acts going on, in the land. Same thing that's happening today, man. We're witnessing pre-flood behavior before ultimately what the Lord brings in that flood of fire in, man. Because, it's just typically the world that as we know it right now, it's out of control, man. There is no shame. The law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI are slacked. They have trends like young hoes. It's cool to be a sodomite. Things of that nature, man. But the Lord is ultimately coming back to bring change, ultimately to clean this land, man. Ultimately by the way of fire, man.
I had a precept, bro.
Con.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 5.
That's the spirit.
Says, and Yahawah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Right, and this is right before YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI made the decree to flood the earth, man. All right, to kill all the souls except Noah found grace. But why? It's only because the mindsets of the people on the earth and the wickedness was so rampant that YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI had to put an end to it. He had to put a stop to it. He had to nip it in the bud, man. So, and we right back in that same mindset. The whole earth is right back in that same mindset of just continually evil, man.
Yep.
Get that Ecclesiastes.
And a lot of these people are shameless, man. You got like I mentioned, the young cold trend. We were just before the camera had started, we was talking about that spring break thing that these niggas is having in Houston, man. What's that? Over 42,000 cases is reported of these people having HIV and STDs and things like that. Women and men having sex with the windows down and everybody filming it, man. Like, what the fuck are we, man?
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. We're in spiritual Sodom.
Con, that's right.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes 8 and 6. Oh, Salaki. 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Yeah. And so that lack of judgment, it proceeds from the rulers, man. All right, this lack of judgment, this lack of accountability that's held in the earth, it's all because of Esau Edom, man.
Yeah.
I actually had one more. The book of Psalms, chapter 12, verse 8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted, man. All right, and so now you have this thing where the sons, you had 3 classifications of men. You had the sons of God, the sons of men, and the sons of the wicked. Now that the sons of the wicked are in rulership, all right, and they just pouring forth their doctrine, pouring forth their philosophy, pouring forth their way of living, man. Ultimately has made the earth to just corrupt, man. All right, just to be downgraded and degraded into a very low, immoral, no worth estate, man. All because this wicked nigga is in power, man. All right, and nothing is being checked, man. All right, nothing is being held accountable unto these people, man.
It's encouraged.
Yeah. Because he even talks about in the Maccabees, wickedness was multiplied on the planet Earth, man. Because when you have Esau, Edom, and power, what's that? Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Yeah. This is a base man that's ruling the world right now. And there is the law, statutes, commandments are not being enforced in the land, man. And you can do whatever you want, man. And ultimately, wickedness is glorified in this place, man. You had that Habakkuk.
Habakkuk 1 and 4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceeded.
Right, it says the law is slack, and right, the law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWASHI is slacked in this land, man. You know, because he even talked about in Isaiah, you know, Wilton and that called good evil and evil good, man. You know, so ultimately everything is flipped, you know, upside down, man. The law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWASHI are not enforced, and the law, statutes, and commandments were a way that we ultimately to manage our lives and the rest of the world, man. But since the law, statutes, and commandments are not, you know, governed across the world, we get what? Debauchery, adultery, homosexuality, things of that nature, man. You know?
I had a precept. Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, verse 27. It says, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. For the grain of evil seed have been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. All right, so when Adam fell, all right, listening after his woman, you know, things like that, which, you know, hey, it has come to a point where things have got to such a lower state to where we are now, man. Just that chain effect and that ripple effect of what happened in the ancient days, man. It came back so far that now we at an even worse state, man. You know, it says, and how much ungodliness hath it brought up unto this time? How much shall it yet bring forth unto the time of threshing come, man?
Yeah, it said, can I add on to that point not? It said, yet bring forth, because what was that in the time of the Persians, if I'm not mistaken, the captivity that Ezra was under, it says how much more, you know, wickedness shall it bring, you know, to this time, man. So it's way more wicked than it was back then, man. You know? You know, things are on a whole new level. You know, ultimately, what women can go to these different clinics and transform themselves into a man, get their breast chopped off. A man can get his rod chopped off and be ultimately what? You know, named, you know,
Woman of the year.
Woman of the year, exactly right. You know, so ultimately, what, man? We live in a foul, wicked society, man. You know, my brother can grab me. I believe it's either 1 Timothy 3 or 2 Timothy 3.
Let me see.
How's it quoted?
Ultimately, man shall be lover of their own.
I think it's
selves.
second.
You can really start at the top.
Yeah, 1 Timothy 3 is going into the deacons and
Yeah, I'm in 2 Timothy.
Oh, okay.
2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
Dangerous times.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good.
All right, these are the mindset of these people today, man. You know, hey, you got individuals disrespectful towards their own parents. You got even parents ultimately what? Scared of their own children, man. You got a lot of these YNs walking around. You know, you got people that's untrustworthy, man. You know, the things that the brother is reading, these different qualities is what these people possess today, man. You know, untrustworthy, truth breakers, man. You know.
Pull it up. 2 Timothy 3 and verse 3. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, which is lack of control, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of the Most High God.
And that's what you're saying today, man. You know, ultimately what? You know, lust is pushed at the forefront. You know, you're told, to cast, YAHAWASHI to the side, man. And, ultimately fulfill the lust of your flesh. Do what you feel like is, do what you feel like is good, man. You know, ultimately, live, any type of, basically go after any type of pleasure that you want to, man. You know, this is the society that we live in, man. You know.
I got one. This is Tobit 4:13. Now therefore, my son, Love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, and not taking a wife of them. It says, for in pride is destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want, for lewdness is the mother of famine.
You got it up.
All right, this place is lewd as hell, man. Everything is just put on display. It's just no standards, and it's disgusting, man. Lewdness is the mother of famine, man. Lewdness is great decay. That's how you know the kingdom's over with.
Yeah.
Sexual immorality and adultery and promiscuity of the women.
Yeah, it say
It's
I
over.
believe in the law it say don't prostitute thy daughter because the land will fall into
To whoredom.
Yep.
You know, so just that one action or that one thing, and now look where we are now, man. We at a place where there's literally no fear of YAHAWASHI outside in the earth. Alright, and it's all 24/7 just passed on ridiculous, passed on rebellion, passed on philosophy that's wrong, that's wicked, that's false, man. So, you know, what you seeing is the result and the reason why YAHAWASHI outside flooded the earth in the first time.
God.
You know, these are the same things, the same mindsets, the same ways that people move. This is that same pre-flood mentality, man. Just all out 100% rebellion, man.
Can somebody type in run not with them, KJV? I believe it's in the New Testament.
Oh, run not with them
Yeah.
to the excess.
Yeah. I forget exactly where it's at.
Oh yeah, 1 Peter 4:4. It says, I'm gonna just start at 3. For in the times past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles.
Yeah, because before coming into this truth, man, we was living all different type of lifestyles. Some of us was gang bangers, you know, we took drugs, you know, basically did things that was contrary to the ways of YAHAWASHI, you know, prior to coming into this truth, man.
When we walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries.
And right, you see these things in more and more, you know, as we close out the end of this man's society, man. You know, this was talking about back then, but how much more today, man? You know, ultimately these people was given into what? You know, all types of wickedness, all type of lewdness, you know, wicked acts, man. You know, riotness, you know, partying, drinking, these women being whores, you know, things like that, man.
It says, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot.
Right, because ultimately when we come into this truth, man, YAHAWASHI cleans us from those things, man, and we separate ourselves from those said things that's mentioned, man. And a lot of these people look at us weird when we separate ourselves from wickedness, man, because it talks about, you know, he that departed for wickedness, making himself a prey. You know, so ultimately, what? We don't do those things, man. Hey, they'll call you a lame for ultimately not sleeping with another man's wife, man. You know, you gay for not sleeping with another man's wife.
You gay if you do sleep with another man's wife.
Yeah, exactly right. But these are the mindsets of the people, man. You know, and that's why the Lord is coming back to destroy these people and ultimately what? This place, Babylon the Great, man. You know.
It says, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead?
But that was pretty much the point. I got one more. If brothers ain't have anything, 2 Peter 3. I can really start up a little bit. You know what I want to how it talks about you know,
yeah, overflooding.
Yep. I think it's like around verses 7 and 8.
7.
Yeah, something like that.
2 Peter 3.
Oh, 2 Peter. Salaki, I was in first. Okay.
Seeing that all these things shall be dissolved, but you can start up a little bit.
This is the book of 2 Peter 3. It says in verse 3, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Right, so you got a lot of people, especially in this time, you know, talking shit, you know, ultimately speaking against this word, you know, ultimately, because he even talked about that in Ezekiel, man. You I forget exactly how it was quoted, but what is this proverb in Israel? Loosely paraphrasing.
This that the vision is for many days.
Yep.
Prolonged.
Yeah.
You wanted it or you just?
Yeah, you can grab it just real quick.
Because my phone did.
Let me see.
Let me look it up for you.
Okay.
The vision is prolonged. Every vision faileth.
Yep.
I'm gonna just read verse 4 again while we get it. 2 Peter 3 and 4, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Yeah, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation, man. So ultimately what? You got scoffers, especially here in this time, man. Ultimately what? They talk shit against this word and things like that. And that happened during the times of Noah, man. You read Matthew 24, they were eating and drinking and giving to marriage until, ultimately what? The flood came in, man.
I got that, Ezekiel.
Ezekiel
chapter 12, verse 21. And the word of YAHAWASHI came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel? Ezekiel 12:22. Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged and every vision faileth? And that's the lack of faith, man. That's really the mindset of the 2/3. If you weren't born with faith, then you just don't think that all of these are fables and fairy tales and
Yeah.
But no, that's just the mindset of a 2/3. All right, no faith in YAHAWASHI, no trust, man. Verse 23 says, tell them therefore, thus saith YAHAWASHI power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel, but say unto them, the days are at hand and the effect of every vision.
Right, so we're coming into a time where these prophecies are no longer going to be prolonged, man. The Lord is showing these wicked ass niggas, what is true, man. These prophecies coming to pass, so they can't say, in their wicked ass mad, the Lord is the land that's coming. Because what the Lord is showing forth everything that he said was going to happen, man. Because he talks about in Isaiah 55, his word is not going to go out void, man. That was pretty much the point.
Back in 2 Peter 3 and 5, for this they're willingly ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that was then, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
Right, so the first death was by water, man, where the Lord ultimately flooded out those wicked ass niggas, and the second death is going to be by fire, by the way of those thermonuclear missiles, man. You had a lot of people talking shit back then. Noah was preaching, what was that, about approximately 100 years or so? Noah was telling these wicked ass niggas it was going to rain. This was going to happen, ultimately to repent, man. But ultimately what? They kept on in their wickedness until YAHAWASHI got tired of the bullshit and flooded them niggas out and only saved 8 souls, which is what? Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their wives, man.
And same thing with Lot. He tried to warn his sons, and they say he appeared to be one who mocks, like he's just playing around. Same thing with the prophets today. They think we're just
pre-flood behavior, man.
Same pre-flood mindset, same judgment, same outcome, same result.
Right.
All right, how about YAHAWASHI finna spank that ass? So, Jay had anything to go?
Jump to what it talks about in that 2 Peter's, how it talks about
verse 10.
Yep.
But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up.
And what is the works that are therein, man? Nothing but wickedness, man. And the Lord is going to do away with that, man, because it talks about the new heavens and the new earth that dwell in righteousness, man. Because the Lord is going to ultimately consume this first heaven, first earth, talking about the rulership of Esau, Edom, by the way of fire, man. So everything we know to be, a world, ruled by wickedness, that's going to come to an end, man. And the righteousness is going to be the standard.
Right. Finally.
Yeah, you want to sum up?
There was more to that. That was the point.
Oh, it says, verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness.
Right, conversation going into anastrophe, which goes into your conduct, man. Should you be like the rest of these wicked ass niggas, or should you be repenting, ultimately seeking YAHAWASHI, man? Because a lot of these people with that pre-flood mindset, and it's only worse, man. The same niggas that was back then are the same niggas today, even more wicked than they was back then, man. You know?
Yeah.
Their devices is more evil and more wicked than it was back then, man. You know? And the Lord is ultimately going to consume this place by thermonuclear fire and those mindsets that's ultimately that coincides with this place, man.
Oh.
You know?
Perfect.
But that was pretty much the point of Jake ain't had it.
No. Good.
So with that being said, we hope this quick lesson was edifying. Want to end up by giving all praise, honor, glory to
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kodash.
Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone of truth, and salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. Lord, I hope this lesson was edifying. Until next time, Kwam Yasharallah,
Shalom.
Shalom, and the Bible.